So my cat has learned how to climb the gate. No, she give up.
Roo, Roo, we're having so much fun in here without you. Come on, little Roo. No, give up. Roo. Come on, Roo. Come on, Roo. Come on, you're almost there. Go on. Come on, Roo. You can do it.
Oh, what happened?
Oh,
You were
no.
almost there.
You just left her over. Come on, Roo.
No, I gotta catch this. Very clanging. He's gonna go for it again. He's going for it again.
Come on, Roo.
He's going for it. He's going for it. Here she goes.
Come on, Roo. You can do it. Come on, Roo. Roo.
You almost had it, Roo. What are you doing? So we went to a nearby trail for a walk just to get out of the house a little bit. And of course, I took the opportunity to do some camera tests. I put my iPhone XS on the Zhiyun Smooth Q gimbal and put a variable ND filter on the back camera, and I used only the back camera. And as you can see, with the default camera app, I struggled with white balance shifting. I know you can lock auto exposure, and that's supposed to lock the white balance, but I didn't do that, and as you can see, shifting white balance was a problem. I'm actually interested in how people dial in their variable ND filters on their iPhone, because obviously the default camera app doesn't show the shutter speed. So what I do is I load up the Moment camera app, and use that to find the 180 degree shutter speed with the variable ND filter. And so once I have the ND dialed in, then I switch over to the regular camera app, and I shoot using the regular camera app. So here I flipped the back camera around to face myself. Again, you can see the white balance shift there. But I wanted to see what it would look like if I just pointed the back camera at me. Of course, I didn't have the screen, so I couldn't look at that to frame myself, but this is the result. Now, when I reviewed that last video footage, I felt that my skin looked kind of waxy, and I wondered whether or not it was because the variable ND filter messed up the Smart HDR. Obviously, when you do Smart HDR, the iPhone automatically takes multiple pictures and then blends it together to create each frame. And so maybe if you dial in the ND filter too heavily to get that 1/60th of a second shutter speed, it can't quite get all three stills per frame. And so I wondered if that might have contributed to it. So I went out again and tried it again with the ND filter and without the ND filter. So this is with the ND filter. And here it is again, taken with the back camera without an ND filter. This was taken under very similar lighting just a few seconds after the last video clip was taken. So in my opinion, I don't find that I have the same waxy complexion, uh, both with and without the ND filter that look pretty similar. So I'm not sure why the day before it looked the way it did. But at the same time, I also can't tell a huge difference between having an ND filter and without. Obviously, there's a little bit of extra motion blur, but it's not especially noticeable. In fact, you probably notice it more on the arm that's holding the camera. And here you can see a side-by-side comparison. There's a more natural looking motion blur on my right arm on the image on the left that was shot with the ND filter compared to the image on the right, which was shot without an ND filter. However, the rest of the frame looks fairly similar to my eye. So I'm not sure that it is worthwhile carrying around an ND filter just for that. Here's a bonus side-by-side comparison. I have the iPhone XS on the left-hand side and the Sony a6400 on the right-hand side. And here's another bonus side-by-side comparison. Here I have a screen grab from a video clip that I shot. On the left is the native camera app, and on the right is the Filmic Pro app. And as you can see, I've shown this before in other videos, the Filmic Pro app does not seem to have as good a dynamic range, and you can see some highlight clipping on the white fur of the cat.